City of Stevens Point Common Council meeting, recorded November 15, 2021.
At 7 o'clock, we'll call the regular Common Council meeting of the City of Stevens Point to order. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Christensen. Christensen.
You're on mute.
Here.
There you go.
Shore.
Here.
Keemer.
Here.
Zarazua.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Slawinski.
Here.
Kneebone.
Here.
Leek.
Here.
Dalton.
I do not see her online. Did she call to ask to be excused?
She did not.
Oh, there she is. Say here.
Fischler.
Here.
Morrow.
Here. Everyone is present. I want to remind everybody on Zoom that if you are not speaking, please mute yourself so we don't get any background information. If you would join me now in our salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A couple of things I wanted to touch on. The holiday parade, which is put on by the Downtown Stevens Point Alliance, will be this Wednesday at 6 o'clock down Main Street. Floats line up about Associated Bank Post Office area, and it starts at what I would call the Shopko lot, going out to the square. And again, that's at 6 o'clock. If you are attending and you want to hear some festive music, the city radio station 105.9 will be playing Christmas music that evening for the parade. We'll have the official tree lighting ceremony as well. So we hope you can come out for that. As you probably know, the parade kicks off the downtown or the holiday shopping season. It's put on by the businesses to kind of give it a start for the shopping season. We want to promote shopping local, and therefore I've declared the week of the 20th through the 27th Shop Small Week in the city of Stevens Point, encouraging you to buy your gifts locally and visit those stores. The downtown businesses are also running a promotion. They get I think they're calling it a passport, where you can get a passport book and you visit the different shops downtown. You get a stamp and turn in your completed card, and they've got all sorts of prizes in addition to whatever you might find for your Christmas gifts. So Shop Small Saturday is the 27th, of course the day after Black Friday, but we want to encourage you to shop local throughout the entire holiday season. Anybody who is wishing to speak on any agenda item, even the non-agenda item, needs to register right now with Sandy. I know there's some people in the overflow room, so if there's anybody that is in the overflow room, come on in here and register to speak. We've got a lot of people that are here. I don't know how many people we have signed up, but it looks like quite a stack. So we ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Be respectful of everybody else's time and their beliefs. I don't want to hear any name calling, booing, cheering, any nastiness. We're going to be respectful of everybody. With that, I will move into item number 3, which is persons who wish to address the mayor and council on a specific agenda item other than a public hearing should register their request at this time. Those who wish to address the common council during a public hearing are not required to identify themselves until the public hearing is declared open by the mayor. I don't know if we have any public hearings, but if you're here to speak on a public hearing, you will not need to register in advance. I'll declare the public hearing open, and then you can approach the lectern. Microphones are live, and they pick up all the sound, so I would ask that we keep chatter to a minimum, just so we can focus on those who are speaking. Please wait to be recognized by the chair. And Sandy, we have Janet Georgella Finn, who also wishes to speak. Janet, I have you down. And Trevor Rourke. And anyone else online wishing to speak? Okay, we're just going to take another minute here until Sandy gets everybody registered. Again, if there's anybody in the overflow room that needs to speak or wishes to speak, come on into this room and sign up with Sandy. All right. Think we got everybody? Last chance? I don't see anybody else online. We will start out with those online. First one is Melissa Johnson. Timer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members of council. As some of you are aware, I've kind of experiencing some health issues lately, and it's been a very slow recovery with a number of complications, and I apologize to all of you for not being as available as I typically like to be. Also, and I'd also apologize for not being able to be there this evening. I have yet another surgery tomorrow morning, and my doctor has advised isolating as much as possible. So I appreciate that we still allow attendance via this virtual platform. During my recuperation, I was reminded of why I so love this community. In 2003, I moved back to Stevens Point to help raise my granddaughter, and I moved with my daughter and my granddaughter back here because I wanted my granddaughter to grow up in the community that raised me, a community filled with amazing people. And over the last 3 weeks, the people of Stevens Point showed up to demonstrate that amazingness. My heart was warmed with a steady stream of messages of well wishes from friends, neighbors, city staff, and constituents. Constituents actually showed up my door with deliveries of fresh bakery and farm fresh goodies from the farmers market. There were dozens of offers of assistance for everything from running errands to picking up groceries. Even my 84-year-old neighbor wandered over yesterday to offer with the help of snow removal because he heard I was feeling poorly. All too often, the world is filled with anger and bitterness, driving news cycles and social media. However, during my recovery, I was reminded of the goodness of this community. Stevens Point is indeed the best place to live, work, visit, and recover from a very unplanned surgery. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and to those of you who hunt, my best wishes for a successful and a safe hunt. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next up, we have Janet Finn Gergella Finn.
I was under the impression that somebody was going to bring up the suggestion that the approval of the design plan for Business 51 improvement should go for a referendum, and that we should speak on that. Now, is it still appropriate for me to speak on that if nobody has brought that up yet?
Yes, that is what the non-agenda item is for. That Business 51 does not appear on our regular agenda, so if you wish to speak on Business 51, this is that
Okay.
opportunity.
So I didn't have to wait for somebody to bring up about the, referendum. All right, here's my statement. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The Common Council's approval of the preliminary designs for the Business 51 improvement project was based on a thorough review of a deliberate and formal process instituted by the city. This step-by-step process began with identifying the necessary and now overdue reconstruction of Business 51, including replacing deficient pavement, storm and sanitary sewers, water mains, and street lighting. These improvements must be done, and of course did not need a referendum to move forward. Here's why the preliminary design for the Business 51 improvement project does not need to go to referendum for approval. The formal process that I mentioned earlier was instituted by the city to explore the various design options and alternatives for this necessary road reconstruction. The public input process began in early 2019 with open houses, questionnaires, and presentations guided by, at that time, a professional urban planning firm. This early input then led to AECOM's design alternatives. These various design choices then became the focus of another year and a half of well-publicized, advanced scheduled, highly accessible public input and involvement opportunities. We should trust that the Common Council studied the need, carefully reviewed the design alternatives, considered the feedback, and made what they feel is the best choice for Stevens Point and its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Trevor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes?
Thank you. Trevor Rourke, 601 Washington Avenue. I just wanted to say thank you to City Council on the recent vote for the Business 51 design alternative. My 6-year-old almost got crushed 3 different times by distracted drivers on that roadway. It's not an easy street to cross, not even for adults. I'm happy with this decision the council made, and crossing the street is going to be safer, and it's going to be easier too. That's awesome. Number of friends, family, and neighbors agree that it's a dangerous street as well. Besides improving safety, I was also happy to learn that more recently that the chosen alternative will save taxpayer money and require less businesses as well as less house relocations. So I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for making this decision.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for our online. Bob Gifford?
Thank you. Bob Gifford, County Board District 10. It includes parts of Point. Not an agenda item tonight, but the street design issue is on the agenda in community discussion groups, as you can see. The problem I want to mention makes a lot of road design and build controversy a moot point. This is the world oil shock scenario that will hit the U.S. and global economy later this decade. You may be aware that oil and gas reserves are limited in quantity, but may not be aware the limits of growth based on combustion are right on your horizon. A couple, 3 years back, I gave a 3-minute chat here about how local governments need to start doing emergency planning, not just for fire, flood, and active shooter emergency, but also economic emergency. I didn't see the pandemic coming when I said all that. However, there is a wealth of study and prediction from people inside the fossil fuel industries about the economic crisis that the oil and natural gas shortage will bring. So there's no excuse for government or non-government orgs to not see it coming. The head of Total Petroleum in France predicts a 10 million barrel a day shortfall by mid-decade. Labyrinth, consultant to oil companies, expects a 5 million barrel a day drop in U.S. frac production by 2040. Government of Finland has a 500-page report on oil from a critical raw material perspective, and it looks grim for Europe and the USA. Yet we see no action, not even a mention of all this at the federal nor state government levels. These levels of government seem to have stopped working as problem solvers. So in the years ahead, it'll fall to the local level to begin to solve the energy problem brought on by the depletion of your fossil fuel resources. This will require a massive build-out of renewable energy regional mass transit on a scale that makes people's brains freeze up. There's no money on the horizon to make that happen. So, whether you have road diet streets that are people-friendly or big, wide, high-speed streets, if you lack the fuel to move those cars, it's all a moot point, isn't it? Thanks for your time.
Well timed, Mr. Gifford. Next up, Mary McComb.
Mary McComb, 2100 Elk Street, Stevens Point. I'm here to thank those on City Council who supported the improvements to Business 51, and to thank the city staff who were involved as well. I've got two reasons for my gratitude. Reason one is that I live near that street, and it is indeed hard to cross, and it's unpleasant to drive on. The proposed improvements will make it more pleasant to drive, and it will make it friendlier for people who don't use automobiles or trucks, for bicyclists, people who use wheelchairs or some sort of motorized scooters, and for people who walk. It'll make the neighborhoods along the corridor quieter and calmer because of the traffic calming effects, and it will, of course, make things safer. The second reason I'm grateful is because council and city staff made the decision on the base of, they made the decision in a rational manner. They worked with AECom traffic engineers for a lengthy period of time. They looked at previous examples, previous instances of such redesigns. They used data. They actually had support. They have support for what they decided on. Some people are very frightened of the proposed changes, and I'm sorry to see people frightened. But as the engineers and city council members and staff have studied the proposed redesign, they know that it should not hurt anybody's businesses. So I'm grateful to have a city council that thought of everybody, not just motorists, and a city council that relies on data and education, expertise, and experience to make its decisions.
Thank you. Next up, Kevin Flatoff.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully I won't go over the 3 minutes. I'll do my best. I'll ask for a little leeway since Melissa Johnson had spoke for 15 minutes at the October 20th council meeting in her celebratory speech before the vote on the road diet. Kevin Flatoff, 2151 Ellis Street, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I'm here today as a citizen and not a business owner. Irreversible. That is the word of the day, everybody. Irreversible. The worst decision Stevens Point ever made was the Center Point Mall. Fortunately for our city, the mall mistake was reversible, and a technical college came in and saved us. Irreversible. To turn Business 51 corridor into a 2-lane road diet with the center left turn lane is irreversible. In order to make that road a road diet, the road needs to be narrowed. Irreversible. If we go forward with this plan and make it a 2-lane road, we're stuck with this road for over 50 years. It cannot be turned back. Irreversible. That's the decision you're making. 57 driveways you're going to take away from business owners. Irreversible. When those driveways are gone, they're gone forever. I believe something of this magnitude should be left not to 11 people elected by the citizens of Stevens Point, but the entire population of Stevens Point. This is way too big a deal to be left in the hands of 11. What I'm asking the city council to do today is to consider the people of Stevens Point. You have made it clear that you think this is what's best for the city of Stevens Point. Melissa Johnson, you have made it clear that this is what Stevens Point needs. If you honestly believe that, council, then you'll let this go to referendum and let the people decide the fate of one of our most cherished roads in Stevens Point. So I ask the city council to take this issue to referendum. If you decide not to take it to referendum, irresponsible will be the word. Irresponsible, okay? If it doesn't go to referendum, I'm gonna call on the Stevens Point City Council, and I'm sure that many citizens in this community will back me for your resignations. Do what's right. Let the citizens of this great city decide the fate of this road. Reversible. Your positions on city council are reversible. Thank God for that. Should the city of Stevens Point replace the Business 51 corridor with a 2-lane road diet with a center left turn lane on the south and central segment and a 2-lane divided road through the north segment at a cost of $45.3 million? Yes or no? That is your referendum question. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. No. Let it go. I understand that you're supportive of a lot of the speakers. You'll have your opportunity to show that support when you get up to the lectern, please. Keith Kudrowski. Keith's probably in the other room. Keith, if you're in the overflow room, you're up. Sure. We'll do an on deck. So Keith Kudrowski, we're waiting for you. On deck is Larry Frostman. How about if we let Larry go first, and then we'll get back to Keith?
Good idea.
Thank you. It is Larry Frostman, 1757 College Avenue. I'm not a politician, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't have a reason to lie to any of you. I'm not a statistician or a math major, but I can look at government stats and come to my own conclusion. I'm sure all of you have seen the help wanted signs everywhere. Our area, around the state, around the country. Radio, TV, and ads looking for help. In Washington, D.C., there's a long black monument honoring the 58,000 who died in Vietnam fighting communism. If they were still active, most of them would be retired by now and out of the workforce. We also hear about the 22 veterans who die per day by suicide. Adolf Hitler killed 11 million. Joseph Stalin killed 5 million. The Khmer Rouge in Cambodia killed 2 million. Quite the atrocity. That's over 19.5 million people dead. Add them up, and that total pales to the 62 million murdered by abortion here in the United States of America. Those numbers are from our CDC. 62 million dead since Roe versus Wade. And still there's 3,000 more every day. I hope you socialist Democrats are proud of yourselves. 62 million, there's your missing workforce. People were fighting this war on the wrong front. The socialists are winning. Keep on killing. The 2-lane roads will be all we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kudrowski, you're up. Brock Maddox on deck. We'll time it for you.
Right on, I know you will.
All right.
You're good at that. Time everybody, but like Kevin said, Melissa, she can have all she wants, but just thank you for letting me speak today. Offensive, the whole clapping thing, my God, you kidding. This shirt probably offends you because that's a picture of a gun. It's not really a picture, it's a drawing other offensive things that offend you. Maybe if you spoke what the people wanted to do and voted what the people wanted to do, they'd clap for you too. But which one offends you more? This one? Does that offend you? Does that offend you? Or does one where your rights, my rights, end where your overreach starts? Probably this one, though. The guy who'd ended all of that, allowing you to overreach us, that guy, that probably offends you the most. So anyhow, back to the real problem. I think some lady mentioned this survey. That survey was done when back 2019, 2020. Century was closed. How much traffic is that? So you're going to base this on a survey done when you shut it down for COVID. Some of you still believe in it. My God. So anyhow, I was going to complain a little more about the motion that someone thought was so important to complain about us clapping while you guys voted not to impose a rule that limited you all because you're special. So on the road itself, 45 million Kevin mentioned, Melissa said maybe qualifies. 50-some million for the 4-lane, keep it the same footprint. It's a few million more, it might. She doesn't know what qualifies for federal funding. This is a lady whose list of financial judgments was about 2 pages long. This lady knows what's best financially. She wants us to get our share of the federal government money. The federal government ain't got money. 28, 29, 30 trillion in the debt because of people like you running it at the federal level? If we don't get money from them, it sounds like I'm less in debt. So we don't need their money. Do what's right for the city. I'm going to talk about a couple of the council members, one of them being her, with their Facebook posts. Complaining about JR's Liquor, no charge for the plug there. Had an abrasive employee. She complained, told people not to go there, asked them to go to a liquor store outside the city. Wow, you represent these businesses and you choose to dox them. Tori Jennings, she's gone, thank God. The replacement, not a whole lot better. Post to not support BP gas station. Are you kidding me? This is the people you represent. Thank God you're gone. Please move out of Park Ridge too. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Brock Maddox, you're up. Jack Lightfoot on deck.
Brock Maddox, 5421 Monroe Avenue. I just have to say, the last meeting we had for the Business 51, and the stuff I've been hearing on Facebook over the applause, community showing support for each other, and the code of conduct, the bickering going back and forth instead of addressing what's important to this community. This community keeps showing up here against this 51 project, and on our Facebook page and on my page and everywhere I go, I can just let you know that there isn't one person that supports this project. The only people that support this project are the people that I hear when I come here. So we're going to support Kevin's efforts and do the honorable thing, do the right thing, listen to your constituents, and send this to a referendum, the common sense thing. Gain your honor back. Thank you.
Jack, you're up. Fred, Chuck Coffin on deck.
Hi, I'm Jack Lightfoot. I'm with the Hardys on Church Street. And the last time I was here, I asked this council if there was any way or things that could change. If I went to these meetings and I requested something, could there changes be made? So with that, on October 26th, I went to my ACOM meeting and I met with Scott Bodine and Amy Canfield. And we discussed my restaurant situation and we discussed them taking away my critical exit point at my business. And to my astonishment, I was told that, oh yes, people are going to be able to make a left turn out of your drive-through and then make the sharp right-hand turn to get back out on the highway. Don't worry, you're fine. No, I'm not fine. That is not going to work. And if any one of you want to go to my restaurant and try to do that with a truck, I don't care if it has a trailer or not, just a truck or any longer vehicle, you are going to hurt my drive-through business. It's not even a discussion. So, at that point in time, after they realized that I might have had a point, I offered them a option. Why don't you try this? I'll go to one exit if you can move my exit to the center of my building, and make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to have to take down my beautiful tree that's been there for 40-some years. I'm going to have to come in and do a saw cut and eliminate the little jog, but I was willing to do that. You know what I was told? I'm not sure that that's possible. So I don't believe for a minute that they are going to work with any of us business people. I don't believe it. I walked out of that meeting disgusted. And for that reason, I'm going to support Mr. Flatoff's position. And I can tell you this much, too. I can get thousands of signatures because I have customers coming into my restaurant every day asking what the hell is going on. And they will sign that petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred, you're up. Bob Larson on deck.
I'm Fred, I'm Fred Kelkoven, 910 Ridge Road. I've lived in this city all my life. I was born here. The only time I wasn't here when I was in the military. And I'll tell you, I'm disgusted with the city council. I'm sorry, but I'm disgusted. There's a few good ones, but in general, you got no respect for the people. It seems it's what you want, forget the citizens. And a good example of that, I'm guessing it was before they did Stanley Street. It was going to be great and this and that, and then Tory Jennings got up and said, we're the council, we can do anything we want, you people. You know, hey, we're not sheep, we're citizens. I'd like to be proud of this city. I get out of the city quite often. I'm getting more negative remarks on Stevens Point than I've ever heard in my life. It doesn't make any sense. Stanley Street failed. Truck drivers, it's hard to drive a car on there, much less a semi. And then you take it farther, you did Michigan Avenue, same thing. People all over, not all over, but the bicycles are on the street, they're on the sidewalk. It's very hard to drive. I'm concerned about safety, but it's like you guys gave all the rights to the people on bicycles, screw the motorist. I'm just getting tired of it. These poor businesses, hey, it takes a lot to run a business. And it seems the city council is throwing every roadblock in there that they can put up. And I'm just getting tired of it. I wish we'd get some common sense in this thing. I support Kevin's ideas completely.
Thank you. Bob Larson, you are up. Kevin Reuter on deck.
First, I'd like to thank the city council and mayor for allowing the public to speak and have comments. Because what I'm going to speak about is not on the agenda, I realize you cannot respond to my statements, but I hope what I'm going to say doesn't fall on deaf ears. A few years ago, Stevens Point City Council and Mayor Gary Westcott made a poor decision. They took $6 million from the state of Wisconsin and took ownership of Business 51. What does that result? The taxpayers are now on the hook for $50 million because of a poor decision. Once again, the Stevens Point City Council and Mayor are making another poor decision, reducing Business 51 from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. In 1960, the population of Stevens Point was around 18,000 people, and the City Council and Mayor changed the lanes from 2 lanes to 4. Today, the city population is around 27,000 people, and you want to go back to 2 lanes. That doesn't make any sense. Alderperson Johnson stated that the lane reduction was for safety. Explain to me and the people of Stevens Point how a roundabout on Division Street and 4th Avenue is safe, especially talk to the college students with their foot traffic in that area. All we need is a left-hand turn signal to make that intersection safe. Reducing Business 51 from 4 to 2 lanes is not about safety. It's all about the money. In order to get federal grant money, you need bicycle lanes. Bicycle lanes means reducing Business 51 from 4 lanes to 2. The decision to reduce Business 51 from 4 lanes to 2 is too big of a decision for 11 alderpersons and the mayor, especially since the taxpayers are going to have to pay $50 million from the last council in the past that made a big mistake. The decision on reducing Business 51 from 4 lanes to 2 should be decided by the residents of Stevens Point, not the city council or the mayor. We need a binding referendum, none of this advisory stuff. Advisory means nothing. We need a binding referendum on Business 51. If the Stevens Point City Council and mayor are so sure their decision reducing Business 51 from 4 lanes is the right decision and has the full support of the majority of Stevens Point's residents, then there should be no problem having a binding referendum. It would be a good idea to clear any doubts about Business 51 going from 4 lanes to 2. Let the residents of Stevens Point make the decision of Business 51, either 4 lanes or 2. Authorize a binding referendum on 51. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kevin Reuter. On deck, Ronald Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I never thought I'd be back here again. I retired 6 years ago as your police chief. I was a police officer for 27 years. During that 27 years of service to the city, I was a traffic sergeant for a period of time. That was back in the 90s, and so, consequently, one of my first traffic studies was Church Street South to lower the speed limit in that area from 35 to 25, which made DOT not too happy because they had just done north or south of there to Plover and lowered their speed limit or raised their speed limit to match ours, and I lowered ours down to 25 with approval of the city council, which makes me wonder if DOT would be very supportive of us having this shrunken 2 lanes to match their 4 lanes as you exit the city. I find that hard to believe. I don't come on behalf of any business. I don't own a business downtown, but I do understand their concerns. I definitely do. But I do come here with common sense being my rule of thumb. I mean, I don't know if anybody's been sitting there when a train's crossed both Water and Church Street. It backs up past the traffic lights one way and goes way down Church Street. And making it 2 lanes, I don't know how far it would go. I mean, we used to talk about this before we did the overpass, for goodness sake, over on Country Club Drive. And we had to put it up. You're going to stop ambulances. You're going to make it so you can't get cars across ambulances to the other side of town. So now you're going to say that you're going to block traffic up miles? Because it's going to be. It's going to be that far. Like I said, I wasn't planning on coming back. I like retirement. Thank you very much. But some things have been popping up there just completely crazy. Every time I drive down Michigan Avenue, I feel like I'm in a police training car doing a serpentine training. I mean, you're going from here to here to here, and I thought, what in the world is this? So I started raising my ears a little bit and reading the paper a little bit more because I figure I got to come out of retirement, folks. I mean, this is common sense stuff. Reducing Stanley Street, I swallowed that, and I thought, okay, whatever, they're doing that. But Michigan Avenue, I go down there because I go to Century World to play tennis, go right down that road, and every time what in the world is this all about? Now, if you're basing your traffic studies on what you made your decision on Michigan Avenue, rethink this while you can fix it. Get this Church Street right. Do a referendum if you have to. Do it right.
Thank you. We do have a message in chat. Everyone can see this, of course. Mayor Wiesa, I am not an elected official. Please stop people from referencing me, etc. This is totally inappropriate. That's from Tori Jennings. Ron Carlson, you're up, and Joe Fonte, you're on deck.
I just have to say Ron Carlson, 3356 Oak Avenue, Stevens Point. And I just got to say, being at this meeting and watching the last one, Reed Rocheleau would be very proud of this community and its citizens for coming out and speaking. Whether you agree or disagree, this is government and the way it's supposed to work. I just want to know, why does everything involve controversy lately? Why do we have controversy over Stanley Street and the bike lanes, the ADUs that are coming up on your agendas, the various resolutions that are being passed, and now a Church Street road diet? Don't we have enough division in this community already? Don't we have enough division in this state, in our nation? I think instead of dividing, we have to come together. Kevin was the chief of police and a traffic sergeant. I was assistant chief and a traffic sergeant at one time too. I was around when they redid Highway 10 east of I-39. And a DOT official at that point stated in a meeting, a roadway's purpose is to move commerce quickly and efficiently from point A to point B. And common sense tells me reducing Church Street from 4 lanes isn't going to work. Plover and Whiting recently did their Business 51. There are 4 lanes there. Do you guys know something that Plover and Whiting doesn't? Is there a reason to go backwards, to go from 4 lanes down to 2? Mr. Larson made some good points in his speech. I think we're going to cause more problems than cures with this redesign that you've proposed. The effects, unfortunately, are going to be felt most by the businesses along the Church Street South Corridor. I don't think the city can afford to lose any more businesses. The businesses on Church Street are the backbone of the city. I guess what bothers me the most is that the majority of people that I've come in contact, almost 99% of them, aren't in favor of this. Yet everybody here, aside from one alderperson, has been in favor of it. And that's what bothers me the most, is that we're not listening to the community. We're not hearing the voices that are coming out. That's what government's about also, too, is listening to the people. I'm in agreement with everybody who talked about a referendum. Let the people decide this. Rather than 11 people who feel the pressure of making a decision, let the people go to the polls in April and vote on a referendum to pass or not. And for those of people who are watching in the audience or will read newspaper accounts, if you're upset with your council member, go see Carrie Yenter at the city clerk's office. Take out papers to run for an office. Stand up and make a difference. It's good to see everybody out on their feet. Let's keep the ball rolling one way or another. Government needs us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Next up, Joe Fonte and Ann Walkish on deck.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council. My wife, before I came here today, said, I'm with Furniture and Appliance Mart, Ashley Homestar, as well as Storage Bins of Wisconsin. My wife said to me before I came today, why are you going to waste your time going to that meeting? And part of what I told her is I said, and I think we all believe in democracy. Democracy matters. When I came to the City Council meeting when we had the vote on this topic, I was saddened. I was saddened on that day. Yes, there were studies that were done, but when I listened to the speeches that were given by the City Council members as to those that were not in favor of going to 2 lanes, there was not a single comment that was made regarding any of the comments that people made. And we were told, you know what, it's great to have so many people out. But the people's voices were not heard on that day. And as Kevin's looking for, He's looking for the people's voices to actually be heard. And we don't want something irreversible that's going to have an impact on us for 50 years. We really need to bring this to a referendum. You know, in the end, we do want democracy to win. When we look at the modes of transportation, absolutely we need to have cars going down those roads. And we don't, when you funnel traffic, just like any of us when we're on a highway, when you funnel traffic from 2 lanes to 1 lane and there's too much traffic, what happens? You have a delay. I looked at a study that was done in Michigan. There were 24 projects that were looked at. The results, as it said, tremendous variation in the results of road diet implementation. When you look at it, and one of the things they talked about is these delays. And what's going to happen, as Kevin's brought up, and he brought up very well at the meeting in October, businesses will go under. Because in the end, we still are going to have the same amount of traffic. It's where's that traffic going to go? In this road, Church Street and Division Street were made for the intention of having that traffic. Bicycles, we are blessed in this city to have many bike trails. The place to ride a bike, as I talked to you the other day, Mr. Mayor, is not on Church Street, but it's on the other roads. And we're blessed to have those. It's frankly not safe. As well as it doesn't become safer to cross a road if you have the same amount of traffic, it doesn't become safer to cross a road when you go from 2 lanes to 1 lane. You know, I think as we look at it, and common sense does really need to apply here, and the more that we look at this, honestly, it's unfortunate with the studies that have been done, with the conclusions they've made, but the people are really telling you this would be a true mistake to go forward as it is. So I'd like to think, and before I get to that point, one of the things you brought up, Mayor, is about shop local businesses. This is about supporting local businesses, not just for the Christmas season, but for the next 50 years. So we really need to look at what we're doing and not have a decision that it will be irreversible. In the end, I want to be able to go back to my wife and say, that trip today, coming here, it did matter. And democracy will win. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Walkush, you're up next. Robin Falk on deck.
Ann Wakish, 9321 Buena Vista Road. I am here to voice my concerns about the road diet proposal. Kind of a weird name to begin with, but that's what you're calling it. I'm concerned about how 11 people on the city council can take the lead by bullying a prosperous city and see it go down the tubes by turning a 4-lane main thoroughfare into a 2-lane road. I remember a long time ago when Hoover Road became up for a vote. That went through a lot of planning. I don't remember a lot of it. I was younger. If I remember correctly, the road was put in, and then after the road was made, they had to make it a divided road. They learned from their mistakes. You know, that's a good thing, right? So Post Road went downhill slowly, losing businesses, and eventually now they're fixing Post Road, and it looks amazing. However, you lost businesses, and it will take a long time to bring it back. Hopefully, it's not too late. If you have young people on the board that have no life experience with these types of decisions, or older people who just have not thought this through, or don't care, I don't know what the deal is. If you have young people on the board that have no life experience with these types of decisions, other than what they think is a new fun idea, have them sit down with people who have lived a few years and have been around the block. From my personal experience, a few years ago, our family wanted to build on the edge of our property. The guy issuing permits, he suggested a different area to avoid a landlocked potential problem. Now, because we may not have a vision to move ever again, but he had seen this problem before because he was older and had seen things that younger, greener members would not think of. I was glad he cautioned us to this day. My question to the board and to the city of Stevens Point. I would like to challenge the members who are the most excited about this plan. First of all, why? Can you answer, what are the pros? Who will this help and benefit? Will this benefit businesses? Will it benefit residents, emergency staff, commuters, Oh my goodness, people driving back and forth to Century or wherever, that's gonna be, oh, it's gonna be horrible. Small businesses, college students and families coming in, what are they gonna think? How many businesses will be destroyed by this new plan? How many business driveways will be eliminated permanently? How will this affect emergency vehicles, snowplows? Will the residents of the city be able to get in and out of their driveways? Do all the council members agree? Think about that. Better yet, do the people agree with this? Remember how you were supposed to represent the people? Have you done a pro and con list on this? If this is a multi-million-dollar project, do you think it is fair for 11 people to make a decision that will affect the people's desires and reputation for years to come? How many people travel that road? Have you thought about how a 2-lane road at rush hour will limit and frustrate people? It's a nightmare. What do you do when people don't travel the speed limit? Even if businesses don't lose their driveway, it will force people to take alternative routes, and businesses lose again.
Ma'am, could you wrap it up, please?
I'll try. Hold on just a second here. Have you thought about semis? Are you going to limit their travel on that road? How do you do that on a 2-lane road? Does the city want to lose our reputation, or does the city want the convenience of an easy-flowing, amazing city street? So take a moment and think about how congested and accident-prone Highway 10 is. One word, horrible. I hope there are council members who see this problem and agree, because they see what a problem this will cause, and I say thank you for working for the people.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
If this goes through,
Next up, we
just,
have
I have
Rob-
two more words up to here. If this goes through the city of Stevens Point, as you know, it will go away. For the rest of you, I say irresponsible and selfish. In closing, we want Stevens Point to flourish, not dry up. So I recommend a referendum be added, a ballot, and have the people make the decision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And as far as the
Ma'am,
walkway
ma'am,
thing.
You've already taken a lot more time than most people. We've got a whole
Okay,
list of
yeah.
people to go through.
You know, you could do the
Thank you very much.
overpass
Robin
trestle.
Falk, you're up. Corey Keeler, you're on deck.
Hello. Toastmasters was a long time ago, so I write down all my speeches. Sorry, not smooth. I'm here to talk about the Business 51 business. I understand there's a lot at stake here. I'm a stakeholder. I live in this community, but I don't have the right to vote for anyone here because I don't live in Stevens Point, I live in Plover. You have a stake because you've been voted in to represent the citizens of Stevens Point and you answer to them. Clearly, you've asked for this job because you believe you can do good for the community, and I'm sure you have good intentions, all of you. The business owners along Business 51 have the highest stakes in this endeavor. They stand to lose or maintain the traffic flow and motorist usage that they took into consideration and staked their livelihoods on in order to build their businesses, to feed their families, raise their children, pay their mortgages, and pay their taxes right back to the city again. You all in the city council have cited the cost of doing business as a reason for choosing the road plan that you did. You've cited federal grant monies as a reason to accept a plan completely loathed by those most affected stakeholders. It sounds like you're trying to be good businessmen for your constituents, but you're not businessmen, you're bureaucrats. And it's the job of government to provide roads, and roads are not free, nor are they cheap. You are consumers like all of us, and you do know that the cheapest plan is not always the best plan. An 80% savings on a bad situation is still a bad situation. I understand that you authorized over $1 million to be spent on a design company that has produced 2 highly contested solutions, and you believe that one of these is the best solution. I will be honest, it won't look good if you don't use one of those plans, because you have thus wasted, or so it seems, over $1 million. But it also won't look good if you do use one of those plans, because you're fully shutting down every individual who owns a business affected by this road redesign. Frankly, your best option is to go to a referendum and let the people of your community decide directly in true democratic fashion. You can wash your hands of it, or be proud of being right in the first place, whichever way the people decide. And by the way, I mean a real referendum encompassing the actual desires of the Business 51, and I believe many citizens of Stevens Point. You all know perfectly well that all of the Keep Church Street 4-lane signs refer to keeping Church Street in its original footprint and do not reference the 4-lane option presented by the consulting firm. Don't play that game. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a Toastmaster myself, I had 0 ums or ahs. So, really good. Corey Keelier, Christopher Wood on deck.
I don't prepare my stuff. I just run a timer to make sure I don't go over. I guess the first thing I want to say is, well, Melissa, whatever's wrong, I hope you get better soon. If you need anything, I'm serious. Just ask, and I'll be more than happy. I can't do much. I can do physical labor, so if you need me to do yard work or shovel snow, I'd be happy to do that for you. All right, back to the fighting. So, oh, and I appreciate former elected officials keeping in touch with the council and everything. But I just really want to speak on an item that came up that was introduced by a councilman here, the 2nd District Councilman David Shore, who wants to introduce rules for you guys. He thinks you're unwieldy and you're loud and you're disruptive. And so the best thing that he can do is come up with rules, because that's what he does. He comes up with rules when there's no other solutions that he can think of. And I just wanted to come up and say that, you know, if you watch that meeting, there was somebody who was pretty disruptive, and I believe they were removed or something. But there was really only one person who disrupted that entire meeting, and that was the same councilman who was introducing rules for you guys. He disrupted the meeting so much that the mayor had to yell at him and tell him to stop disrupting the meeting. So it was really important for him to come up with these rules for the rest of us who weren't disrupting anything. So yeah, I just want to thank you for that bold leadership in this time of political divisions and, you know, all the social issues going on. I mean, it's important that we have leaders taking such a strong stance on making sure people don't clap in these meetings. And that's all I had to say about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please. We can't be having that. Please. Christopher Wood, you're up. Becky Crescent on deck.
Hello, my fellow Americans. Thank you so much for your time and patience today. So, I'm just here to let you know what you already know.
Wait, do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
That line right below the microphone, can you read that on the lectern there?
Not touch the microphone.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, good sir. So, I'm sure all of y'all are well aware of your servitude, essentially. You are servants of the public. And no matter how exciting or Mickey Mouse grandeur of these plans may be and how much you might think they may help, if your constituents are saying, hey, we don't want this, I reckon they don't want this. Now, I know without a doubt that you probably prefer to keep your jobs. And I just want you to know there's a lot of people watching y'all. A lot of people that are going to be paying attention to the decisions you're making, because America's waking up. And it's right here in Wisconsin, baby. Right here in Stevens Point. And people realize they're just like you. They can take your job if they don't like what you're doing. America will be rebuilt. Communism will not have its day. And 4 roads down to 2 roads and unnecessary spending. I think we already had enough of infrastructure bills and spending unnecessary amounts of money. Unless this is just out of your own personal pocket. Are you paying for this out of your own personal pocket, or are we using taxpayers' dollars? Keep fighting for America. America will not be lost. God bless.
Thank you very much. Becky Crescent, you are up. And I think that's it.
2 subjects. First Street, where it goes around MEJ's. It's the one-way street. I don't know how many people actually drive it. They started road construction on it back in April, and for some reason, I'm not understanding. It's a 1-block street, and, you know, it's November, and it's still not done. My concern is right now, the state of it, it's half paved over. So one lane goes and then drops down like 2 inches, and the other lane drops down 2 inches at a different point. And then all the pothole covers are sticking up 2 inches. How is that gonna get plowed? Like, I just driving on that tonight, how is that going to be safe for ice, build up and stuff? I'm really hoping there's still a plan before the snow actually comes to actually fix that. Other thing, of course, Business 51. Everybody keeps referencing the survey that we took. Nobody references the fact that the survey questions were rigged. You had the choice of choosing between A, B, C, or D. Which thing needed prioritizing for fixing? There was no option of none of them need prioritizing for fiction. So of course, you're going to have the numbers that you wanted for the questions because you wrote them so you would have it that way. And then there was all these meetings that people could put input at. There was one in-person meeting, and when we tried to speak at that meeting, we were told we were not allowed to speak. You had to speak afterwards, one-on-one. So there really was no public in-person meeting this whole process. And then the 57 driveways. I think this number is just going over people's heads. Belts will have no driveway. So the disabled and the elderly that use that, they drive onto Business 51 and then they pull out on the other street so that they can get ice cream without crossing what's not really a safe place to cross from the other parking lot. They no longer will have that option. Auto Select has no access to Business 51. What are businesses like that supposed to do when they want to resale? They have property on Business 51 and they're supposed to tell their buyers there's no driveway to their business? Like, how does that work? Subway. It's in that strip mall with like 5 other businesses. They won't get a driveway at all. They're now supposed to use Advanced Auto's driveway, which I'm sure Advanced Auto really appreciates. Not only do they have to rearrange their whole parking lot, but they're going to have to pay for the repair of this parking lot. How much more often? Because now they have, 6 businesses using their parking lot, and they get to pay for it. Besides, their customers getting annoyed with the amount of traffic that's now going through theirs. And then BP and El Dorados. Like, BP loses both driveways on that business. That's a really small gas station area with a lot shoved into a small space. Anybody think of how the gas trucks or the delivery trucks are actually supposed to pull in and do what they need to do on this property or other properties? None of this was thought through, and the Hardee's owner said, this needs to be fixed. This needs to be addressed. It needs to go to referendum. We need an option to fix this because it is permanent. Thank you.
Thank you. The non-agenda item speaker list is exhausted. Ms. Crescent, our engineers had not considered what would happen in the winter, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. We will fix First Avenue tomorrow. Thank you all for coming here. No, it's scheduled to be done anyway. I was just being funny. We absolutely think about this. We had all sorts of delays with all of our construction for a variety of reasons. And if anybody really wants to hear the gory details, I'll be happy to discuss those with you offline. But again, thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. It takes a lot of courage to stand up here in front of a bunch of people and speak your piece. So I thank you all for doing that. That is what democracy is about, and I appreciate it. Item number 5 is our consent agenda. And we have 2 speakers who wish to speak on that. I think we'll allow those speakers to go before we look at a motion. I would encourage all of you to stick around. We've got a very riveting agenda. But Becky Crescent, I'll invite you back up to speak on number 5.
For those of you who don't know what number 5 it is, it's the Code of Conduct, which Portage County went through the process, a similar process. And it was a whole lot of, this shouldn't be allowed and we shouldn't have these rules, and there was a lot of kickback from the members of this council. Maybe there's some things in it that maybe they were too extreme, but to say that there should be no code of conduct, that's that's not a thing. Especially, in the light of, the whole clapping thing was on the same agenda, and that somehow is passed, even though it wasn't officially passed and brought forward to this meeting to pass it. So I don't know how that works, because I'm pretty sure if it was on that agenda, you actually have to pass it for it to be in effect, unless I'm missing something. So, I don't get it. If the clapping had been disruptive, I would get it. If people had been yelling, talking to each other, booing, throwing things, I don't know, actually doing disruptive things, I would understand. But, nobody's speech was impeded, clapping stopped beforehand. So, as far as I'm concerned, the audience had a lot better conduct than some members on the board did. Yet we now face a code of conduct, and you guys don't. So, I really support there being some sort of code of conduct. What's on it obviously is up for discussion, but there should be one for the members of this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Wolf? And just as a reminder, the item you're speaking on from the Plan Commission agenda, the ADUs, was a discussion-only item, so there wasn't any action.
Yeah, lighthearted, everybody take a deep breath. So no, I've been, the ADU, the accessory dwelling unit, commercial unit, just something that I've been looking more into, and so just wanted to share, I guess, overall my thought. So as I read this, not only from, I want you to see this message not only from me, but, we only have so many chairs, and we have people who, a much larger group of working individuals, a group of parents with young kids, a group of young people trying to build a career and provide for their families, a group of people who, at the end of the day, just too worn out to come here and do this. So, let's see, I guess the biggest thing is I hope it, I think it's a great idea. And I hope that as we go through it, it helps us allow to move forward, like we had talked about earlier. Being more progressive, allowing homeowners to adapt their property to ever-changing demands, whether it be working from home, needing extra space, home, office, an area to put the kids. Space could also be used as, at-home business. At-home parent could run a yoga class or two throughout the day. In reality, it just can't really be gotten to fathom all the different ways that one of these could be used for everybody. So, the biggest thing I hope is that the requirements are reasonable, that they're easy. If we go through and we get the permit, it's just the permit, right? It's not additional conditional use. It's not a hoops and ladders game. It's, you know what, we vote on it. You guys choose that this is something that we do. Let's do it and make it so it's functional for as many people as possible. It makes sense to keep safe. I know safety is a big thing, and one of the things in communication is the lot line, right? How close, how far away. Let's not so much as focus on the lot line. Let's focus on building on the other side of that lot line, right? There's no fire hazard if I'm 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet from somebody's backyard. Now, if there's an additional building there, yes, let's focus on, firewalls, the same thing that we would do in any other scenario. So, again, I think in a lot of people who can't make it, just the day gets away from them, right? It's time consuming for everybody. Just think about that as you put through what the requirements are. Let's pass it. Let's make it something that's functional for everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you. All great ideas, and our community development director is on, so I'm sure he was taking notes. All right, that exhausts the speaker list. It brings us back to the consent agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to pull anything from the consent agenda before we go further? Alder Morrow?
I would like to pull item number 5 from the Common Council Code of Conduct under the Public Policy and General Government Meeting, please.
5, okay. Anything else? I look for a motion to approve the consent agenda with that item being pulled.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Dalton. Do we have a second?
I second.
seconded by Morrow. Discussion on the consent agenda with the exception of item number 5 from Public Policy and General Government. Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler. Aye. Morrow.
Aye.
Unanimous consent, that is approved. Bringing us back to item number 5 of the Public Policy General Government meeting of November 8th, consideration of the Common Council Code of Conduct. Alder Morrow, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. With what we see in the media today, with the lack of decorum, lack of respect that we see from the state and federal level, how do we not end up voting yes on this? How do we not show that is not who we are? I've been on this council for about 10 years now, and I am proud to be on this city council. I am proud to serve with everyone here. We do not always agree, and we shouldn't always agree. We always have a healthy debate. We lose sometimes we lose votes, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But that's part of the democratic process that we have. You're not going to win everything. This is not a dictatorship. This is not socialism. This is not anything like that at all. You win some, you lose some. By doing this, what we show is a respect for our office. No one does this for a job. No one does this for any amount of money, really. For the hours that many of us put in here, the pay does not equate to the number of hours that we actually do. We all asked to run for these offices. We were not appointed, except for one, for right now, but he's going to have to run again. And we're not going to make everyone happy with the votes that we also make, but that's the job that we ran for. To be in this field, you have to have thick skin anyway. You're not going to make everybody happy. You have to do what you think is right. You have to do what your voters want as well. Us being up here, like for the business 51, we've had meetings about this for 6-7 years. It's been building and building and building for years. Some people are now waking up to this. I don't know who called me, but they had concerns about it, and they were upset about the way that it was going. And I don't remember who it was. They weren't from my area, but I said, come to our meetings. That's how the voices get heard. There is a lot of apathy that, most of the meetings that we have, there are very few people here. And so, oftentimes it takes something like this to get people more involved. Over the years, we've tried to do things to get more folks involved, and now folks are involved, which is good. And folks say that your voice does not actually matter. But in other things that we've had, when people come out, things do actually change. So, but we end up going through the code of conduct here, we have all been civil with each other. We do not always agree, but we've also always been civil. And in regard to conduct to city staff, whenever I've had an issue, I've called up department heads, and I ask them about things, and I've never had any issues with that. City council, what the mayor and what we all talk about is respect for our city staff. That should be common sense. And if that is an issue, if we do have an issue, we end up going to the mayor's office. In my 10 years, I've never had a problem with any staff member that I've come into contact with. Contact towards the voters and the conduct towards the people here at our meetings. It's nice to have a heated debate. It's great to have some of that. You're not going to agree with everybody, but everybody deserves to have their voices heard. And And I'm the first to admit, I mean, I would come into a meeting thinking I was going to vote on one way, then someone would say something on a point that I actually didn't even think about. And my vote did change. And that was because folks from the city and folks who would actually speak changed my mind. Because, I mean, even though you think you might know things, folks bring up things that you did not always think about. Contact with the media. I mean, you hear that every day about fake news, fake this. I mean, the media's biased and this and this, this and this. And, I mean, the media is who we actually depend on a lot because we can't come to every meeting. We don't have time to go through the exciting city council meetings that we've had here till 11 o'clock at night at times. I mean, so we do rely on the media. I mean, some things I agree with some of their takes, some I don't, but again, it is what it is. I mean, we are in public office. Our skins need to be a little bit more thick. Communication. I mean, I think that we communicate well with each other. If I have an issue, I'll end up contacting the mayor's office. I might contact another alder to clarify some points. I mean, in the conduct during meetings. I mean, I do agree that we should have something to drink at times because sometimes the meetings do go to midnight. So it is good to have things to also drink. I don't think folks should be eating, but if you do dress professional for work, I think you should show respect for the office as well. I can't remember anyone coming in shorts and a T-shirt. I know on county board, some of the farmers come in. But, I mean, showing respect for the office that you ran for and showing respect for the office that you ran for and paid money to get into is something of a common sense thing. But again, I am very proud to be a part of the city council. I'm very proud to do the work that we do, and I'm proud to serve with every one of us here. And I would hope that folks would vote yes on this to show the people here, I mean, this is who we are. This is a set of values that we have, and we agree to also follow those values. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. It should be noted, too, that we made some of the changes that were discussed at committee. It now reflects council members rather than alderpersons. There was some concern that it wouldn't apply to the mayor, and I assure you it would. There was a concern about using videos, but we changed that to committee members only, so if you're on that body, you should be using that. And we also corrected a very unfortunate typographical error in paragraph 1, so the document that you see before you was altered. We should probably have a motion before we alter Slawinski.
I'll move to approve the code of conduct as, the revised code of conduct as presented here, and I have a comment if there's a second.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Morrow. Alder Slawinski, you have the floor.
And I guess I'm just going to echo what I had stated last week at the committee level. City council, the common council does not have a document guiding our conduct. Now, based on the discussions that took place with the other agenda item that was presented that night, there is, Robert's Rules does cover those issues that were brought forward. But the common council does not have that. We do not, the Robert's Rules does not reflect that in there. And so I strongly feel that we should adopt this so that we do have the guidance. Not necessarily to say that this, some of these things happen now, but at least now we have something to guide us. So that's why I move to approve. Thanks.
Thank you. Alder Kiemer. Sorry, Fischler.
So,
It's Keely Fischler, and I'm sorry.
So originally I voted no on this, not because I don't think we need any sort of rules of conduct. It's because, number one, I don't have a copy of any of the changes that were made. So I would like a copy of that before I would even vote on it.
It's in your agenda.
So the other thing is, some of the items seemed very restrictive just toward the alders. And I don't think that's entirely fair that the mayor is completely not covered under any of this information. A lot of it just, excluded yourself and just pointed toward strictly the alders, which I do disagree with.
Yep, and that was changed.
Okay.
Yep, the revised edition, it should be in your packet.
Page 38.
Any other comments? Alder Shore, then Alder Zarazua.
Thank you. I did initiate the narrower focus on decorum at the meetings, and have found, and I think I even expected, that there are issues there that we need to handle carefully. My mistake probably was in letting it go onto the agenda even as a potential decision item, because I knew that it would need some more work, including making sure that the language says that.
Alder,
Yep,
we're
yep.
talking about the code of conduct, not the decorum.
I understand.
Okay, you're
Well, I
referencing
mean,
the decorum, which isn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are portions of there's overlap between the two, and now coming to talk about this as well. I stress the point of narrow versus broad, because the narrow topic has taken, some additional time and care, and I think that for anything this wide-ranging with this many subjects, and I'm sure that it doesn't say that the same rules apply for the mayor's contact with staff, for instance.
It does.
Oh, okay.
Again, it was in your agenda, page 38.
Even so, I think that we need more time than just 1 month to take this on board and consider it, and give it due consideration. Thank you.
Alder Zarazua.
So one, I have I guess a procedure question. Can we, because it's the consent agenda, can we review a revised version of this?
I'm not sure what you mean.
I mean, it seems, the consent agenda is just supposed to be reviewing what was in that meeting, and so this came from out.
The changes that were made
changed.
were suggested by council.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, the document itself was changed outside of the meeting. It wasn't changed by
Right, because of the meeting.
vote. Okay. And I guess my other, not concern, but a comment is that some of these things are guided by law. I mean, we do have rules about open meetings, and I don't know if it would help, because it hasn't been brought up in the discussion yet, but if the city attorney could maybe speak to, like, the walking quorum concerns and what our legal obligation is in relation to that, and the communication, because obviously we have to keep the emails that we receive. We have to have that record and allow for access if it is under investigation.
Sure. So I can tell you, Alderperson, that the city attorney has offered training to the alderpersons, as well as our Citizens and Village Mutual Insurance Company. They've offered training, as well as the League of Municipalities. Some of you have opted to take that training, others have not, and that covers really local government 101. Open meetings, walking quorums, all of that is covered under the training. So I don't know if the city attorney is in the overflow room. Oh, he's right there. I don't know if you care to speak on this. I think that's probably more appropriate to speak offline about the requirements and rules as the common council needs to follow. But if you have a comment, we would allow that.
Can I clarify my question?
Absolutely.
It's not in relation to us knowing the rules, it's for the public's benefit. I think because there's a perception that if I see Alder Slawinski somewhere and we're talking, I mean, this could lead to the idea that we're not allowed to have a conversation.
Okay, I
So that's why
understand
I'm
that.
asking, is that if that can be clarified just officially.
Sure. I think it'd probably be best if we did some sort of other public information thing rather than hash it out over an agenda item. But we could certainly put something out for the public so they can better understand the rules that council is and is not bound by.
Okay.
We have a couple of media sources that we could do that, but if you have a quick statement, Attorney Beveridge, we could do that.
I guess the first thing I'll say is that I thought you would never ask if I had any input on this. This is actually the first moment that any input has been sought from me at all on this. I actually have some really big concerns about this in general, which is that, for starters, it's not a resolution, it's not an ordinance. I'm not really sure what it is in terms of it being able to have any legal effect whatsoever, other than just, here is a list of rules that we've agreed to, and fingers can be wagged at people in reference to it if they violate it. But beyond that, I think there are some serious questions here about whether it constitutes infringements of First Amendment rights of the members. Because when you talk about having to speak to people with respect or treat people in a certain way, first of all, I think that a lot of the phraseology in here it's just too vague to really be enforceable. But also you're talking about content-based restrictions on speech. If you say, well, somebody, a community member contacts, the city clerk's office and says, I had a conversation with an alderperson, they treated me disrespectfully. They said X, Y, and Z. So now we're going to use the powers of the city council to somehow punish that member based on the content of their speech. I'm not sure we'd really be able to do that.
There's no punishment involved here. This is simply just a code of conduct that we're agreeing to treat each other respectfully. It's not infringing on anybody's rights to say what they say, but how you say it is what's in question.
I think when you talk about how you say something, you're talking about content of speech. But again, the primary comment I have here is just, what is this document? What type of document is it? Does it purport to have any teeth, any sort of enforceability? Because the way I'm reading it, it doesn't really have any enforceability. It's something that, well, we can point to it and say, here's what we aspire to, and if somebody somehow fails to, then perhaps that is a mark on their reputation, but nothing more. So I think the question of what this is really intended to do is something that should be discussed, so that everybody's clear about it.
Sure. The intent is not to have enforcement, not to hold someone's feet to the fire, not to shake a stick or wave a finger. Think of it as a Boy Scout oath. There's no teeth in a Boy Scout oath. There's no permanent mark on your record if you break part of that. It's a pledge. And multiple municipalities have that. These words are taken from a conglomeration of most of those. Anyone for the first time? Alder Dalton.
Thank you. I very much appreciate Attorney Beveridge's perspective, and many of my concerns with the code of conduct from the onset have been some of those related to First Amendment rights and the language that is too broad. And I think, from my perspective, I would disagree with the sentiment that Alder Swinski brought up, that this isn't covered, because from my perspective, it is covered under Chapter 2, our council rules that are in the ordinances, as well as the oath that we do take. And so I won't be supporting this because I believe that our conduct is already covered under those documents, and I have some issues with this as it is.
Thank you. Alder Christensen.
Thank you. My concern primarily lies with number 2, conduct with city staff. Now, when I came on board a short time ago, I felt it important to try to get the lay of the land and get up to speed as quickly as possible, met with each one of the department heads. I know that members of the public have been encouraged, if they have concerns, to talk to the department heads and share their concerns. And yet we seem to be the only ones within the city that aren't supposed to talk to city employees. That the general public are encouraged to do so when we have concerns. And within the last week, as we were working, for example, through the aldermanic map, met with the city attorney, I met with Carrie, I also met with you, Mayor, but I really don't feel that city council should have to funnel all their communication to city employees through the mayor. I think that would really hamper us in being effective as aldermen. So that's my primary concern with this document.
It doesn't actually say that, Alder Christensen.
Council members will abstain from engaging with city employees.
City employees, yes. You talk to the
Yes.
director if you have an issue with the employees. Doesn't say go through the mayor.
Council
Anyway.
members will avoid interfering with the daily operations of departments and whenever possible direct concerns and inquiries to the mayor.
Or
the mayor direct reports.
Thank you. Alder Kneebone.
Thank you. I'm concerned a little bit too about some of the vague language. In the last paragraph, it says proper and professional attire should be worn for all meetings, t-shirts, shorts, and the like. Could you please define proper, professional, and the like? We can't.
Let's call it business
What
casual.
might be proper and professional might be a suit and a tie and a vest and black wingtip shoes for men and skirts and whatever for women. That does not necessarily be professional in my opinion. This gets a little bit too much toward subjective opinions. So I also, like Alder Dalton, believe that between the oath we take to serve the public and the respect that we have for each other's opinions and concerns, that we don't need to do this today. I'm not opposed to looking at it another time, but it seems like this has been brought forward in a revision that hasn't been voted on to bring it forward. So I'm concerned about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for the first time?
I guess I would say, if I may, if this has value, it's mostly as a summary of various laws, Robert's Rules of Order, common sense to a certain degree, and subjective judgments about what, professional conduct and dress consists in, which of course can change with fashion. And I don't have any strong objections to it per se, but it does strike me, if the only situation which might be, want to be careful with it is if we take it as binding and there's no enforcement attached, as you say. So it doesn't strike me, it strikes me as somewhat superfluous. If we consider what's underneath, well, as Alder Dalton said, with the oath of office and various rules we adhere to. But as a quick guide, sure, it's fine. Because that's only because it does not have enforcement. So I'm not entirely sure how important this actually even is, given what we already have in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Fischler, and then Alder Shore, and then back tomorrow.
I was just going to echo the fact that I did take an oath when I became elected, and I stand by that oath to each and every one of the citizens that I represent and to the city. And I think that, in every council meeting I've ever attended, it has never gotten out of hand. I don't know why these rules are important. I understand for the public perception, but I would hope the public would know that we, as alders of the city, are only doing our very best to represent you. And I don't know that why we would need constraints to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Shore, and then Alder Morrow.
Thanks. I also wanted to focus on that number 2, conduct with city staff. Before I do, just make a quick clarifying comment. If I understood the issue that Alder Zarazur raised, I think it maybe had to do with the fact that this didn't have its own agenda item, that it was embedded in the consent agenda. I think that's the point of the question. But when I asked about the same things applying to mayor and alders, this was what I had in mind. I still have the question. Of course, the roles are different, but yes, that line about going, directing concerns and inquiries through the mayor is a question I have. Yes, it says direct reports, but it's also it's couched differently. When we joined the council, most of us, I think, one of the things that we heard was
turn to the directors, draw on the directors, they're a resource, have a lot of contact with the directors, and this is just kind of put in, it's put in a different way, a way that, strikes me as somewhat awkward, one that says that, go through the mayor except to the direct reports, which is I had to look at it and understand, okay, yes, that means the directors. Anyway, I expected that the mayor and alders, weren't treated exactly the same, which is why I raised it, and I still have the question. And I think that some of these subjects would be great for us to have discussions on, maybe, rather than an overall code of conduct. I think a lot about the concern of not putting the staff into the middle of any controversial issues. I think that's extremely important, and would welcome, a discussion on that and how to handle that carefully and sensitively. And I would welcome that rather than this. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Morrow.
I think the mayor did put it right. I mean, this is a pledge. I mean, if we choose to not do this, it's ultimately the voters who are going to vote us out. I mean, but this just is like a pledge. And one of the things that has been brought up is conduct with city staff. Nowhere does it say that we shouldn't contact with staff. Nowhere does it say that. It just says we have to treat everybody with just respect. And then our voters can contact the city at any time. I've had several on my block who have contacted Ryan, contacted Joel, and so on. So it's no one say that no one could just contact someone cannot contact the head of a department. I don't understand where that's actually. I mean, that's nowhere in that statement does that say that nobody can do that or nobody should. I wanted to touch on one thing with the media as well. I mean, everybody talks about fake news, but it always seems to be fake news if it's not what you actually agree with, or it's not the opinion that you have, or it's not the belief that you have. So if it's against something that you don't believe, then it's quote fake news. I don't always agree with things that are also written down, but I mean, as I said, I don't always agree with what's in the media about me or what is on with the city as well. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this isn't Russia. We cannot dictate what's in what is in the media, and I wouldn't want to. I mean, everybody has their right to the opinion that they have and to see things the way that they see it. But I just want to get back to. I mean, this is a pledge. We pledge to act in certain ways. We pledge to be respectful to each other, and we are. I mean, and I do truly mean it. I am proud to be here. I'm proud to work with every single person here. I mean, that's just not a line. That's not just. I mean, that's not just something that I am actually saying. That's something that I actually believe, and I've been proud to be here for the past 10 years as well. But again, I think that we should vote on this because this shows the city, the values that we have. It shows the values that we have and that I know that we also have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alder Zarazua.
I do feel this document directly tells us not, it says council members will abstain from engaging with city employees. And I think that's the part that one of the things I really struggle with because I'll call a director and be referred to their employees. So, I mean, we have reasons that we speak with them. And so, sorry, I see a face. It's in number 2, the last sentence. So I just want to be clear that I think we all, as alders, understand the importance of upholding a lot of the things that are here. I just don't think that this document as written is the one that we can all agree on. I don't feel that disagreeing with the document means that we don't believe we have to uphold our oath or what's laid out in Chapter 2 of our code. I mean, we know that these are expectations, and I think we follow those whether or not we have a written document stating that. I feel if it's important to have a written code of conduct, that this needs a lot of revision in its own right, I guess.
Okay. Alder Slawinski.
And I agree with Alder Zarzua. I mean, maybe there are some things that need to be tweaked here. I do agree that the last sentence and item 2 is maybe a little misleading. But, and I asked this question last week, I find it, I guess, when I'm having my fellow council members, basically speaking out and not saying that they don't want to support this, other than the reasons that were brought up on maybe some amendments to it, it just gives me some suspicion. What are you afraid of? I mean, this is a guide. That's all this is a guide. There's not going to be any sort of, there's no teeth to this, but it's a guide that we can serve the taxpayers. So again, other than the few changes in some of the wording, I'm scratching my head, I guess. So thank you.
Thank you. Alder Christensen, you had your hand up. Did you wish to speak again?
Yeah, just kind of for a point of clarification. So, for example, if I needed to clarify something with Adam Kuhn for historical preservation, but he's not a director, would I be allowed to contact him, or?
Of course you would, Alderperson.
But he's not a director, and he is a city employee. I do think we need to take a look at this and maybe tweak it a little bit. I
Maybe
don't
we just need
disagree
to get
with
rid of that line.
intention.
If that one's causing some contention,
I would move that,
are you moving to amend?
yes.
And the amendment is striking the council members will abstain from engaging with city employees. Is that correct?
Correct.
We have a second to that amendment, seconded by Slawinski. Now, discussion only on the amendment.
I think it's good.
Comments? Hearing none, we can do a voice vote. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
By the
No.
ear of the chair, the motion carries. Anybody need a roll call on that? Thank you. Now, back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion there?
I'll say something.
Alder
I guess
Keener.
I'm just concerned because what I am hearing is that we all agree there should be an oath. We all agree that there should be standards of conduct and that we think those standards of conduct already exist. And I think what's coming down to is that this will look good and that it will, but that a lot of us have problems with the specific wording of what's in it. And so I guess I don't know. I think part of what I brought up at the last meeting is I felt like there should be a universal code of conduct. It shouldn't be just, these are how the audience should behave, this is how the council should behave. There should be a universal conduct of how we all behave as a community. And that, I wanted something broader and enforceable, and that the city attorney had some input in writing and putting together. Because if it doesn't have teeth, if it's not enforceable, if there's no, then I guess it just seems like it's all superficial, like it's just a presentation to make us look good. So that's my.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, a couple of points that I need to clarify. Alder Shore brought up the mayor's direct reports. The word direct reports was put in there because not all the direct reports are directors. We have a human resources manager, we have an IT manager, we have a community media manager, transit manager. So rather than cloud it up, any direct reports to the mayor, of course, generally speaking, those are department heads. And that's why those words were used. The reason that this was brought up is kind of a promise. Alder Fischler talked about taking an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States. County Board takes that same oath. 5 people voted against it when it came up for a vote. The same people that took those oaths of office voted to not support the Constitution. So this is just a promise to our constituents that we're going to behave in a manner that is respectful and professional in all of the things that we do. That's it. There's no teeth. There's no permanent mark on your record. There is no censuring. There is no docking of pay. It's just an oath that we take to ourselves and to our constituents. And the reason some of this came up was because of issues that have come up in the past. There was a former alderperson who stopped by some gentlemen on our city staff who were pouring concrete at the request of their director through me. That alderperson told those employees they were doing it wrong and they needed to do this to fix it. They took extra time out of their day to do that, and when it was brought to my attention, we confirmed that that was indeed not the case. What they were doing was right. But because of that perceived authority from a single alderperson, those city crews spent additional time and resources doing things that they were not directed to do by their superiors. We've had instances where employees and or staff have been called names, told that they didn't know what they were talking about, and your staff can attest to that. That is not appropriate behavior from alderpersons. That's what this is about. This isn't about making a binding resolution to force you into compliance of something. This is a promise to our constituents. That's it. And this was done through the research of several other communities who also have councils that have adopted this code of conduct. There's no enforcement. There's no teeth. You're right. It seems we're working awful hard to not pass this. I've heard one suggestion on all the changes that people didn't like. One suggestion to fix it. That's all I've heard so far. Alder Fischler, this is against the rules, but I'm going to let you speak one more time.
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate that. I don't know why this is being pushed so hard. I'll be honest, I don't understand what the motive is behind it. Because there are a lot of revisions that definitely need to be made and more discussion should be had. You say it's up for a code of conduct, and you're bringing up really like past things that have happened that have not happened on this council. So I'm not sure how relevant they are in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If you are in favor of the motion, you will vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no, and the clerk will call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
No.
Dalton.
No.
Leak.
Aye.
Kneebone.
No.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
No.
Zarazua.
No.
Keimer.
No.
Shore.
No.
Christensen.
No.
Okay, 3 to, what is it? 7?
No.
3 to 8. 3 to 8, the motion fails. Item number 6 is a request from Orrin Jacobson, representing Upstream Cider, for a conditional use permit to operate a small-scale alcohol production facility at 2041 Madison Street with a parcel identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 2302, Sub 2, Sub B, Sub 3, Sub M.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Alder Keimer, I'll second.
We'll go to Keimer for the second. Discussion. Alder Dalton?
I will be abstaining from the vote as I am an owner of the applicant business.
Thank you. Discussion?
I think this will add to, I think this will add to our city. I'm really excited to have it.
Thank you. Further discussion? Alder Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is in my district. I've had many conversations with residents who live around the new Central City Market, and everyone is absolutely thrilled about what's going on there, and we are looking very forward to having this opportunity in our neighborhood.
Awesome. Any other comments? If approved, this would be a great shop local thing.
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton is abstained. Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 7 is a request from Ryan Wanta, representing Great Northern Distilling, to rezone properties at 1009 Second Street and an unaddressed parcel bounded by Second Street, Third Street, and Portage Street, and an unaddressed parcel bounded by Second Street and Third Street, with the parcel identified in your packet from B2 Central Business transition to PD Planned Development. We have Brian Cummins and Ryan Wanta who wish to speak. Only if there's questions? Okay, there is a resource, so if there are any further questions. Need a motion. Alder Dalton.
Motion to approve the conditional use permit.
Second.
This is a
Or
rezoning.
sorry, the rezone
Rezoning.
one. Motion to approve. the
Thank you.
request.
Shore seconds. And discussion on the rezoning. It's a lot quieter after those first 2 agenda items. Clerk, please call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 8 is a request from Ryan Wanta, representing Great Northern Distilling, for a conditional use permit to operate a small-scale alcohol production facility at 1009 Second Street and the unaddressed parcels identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 2302, Sub 2, Sub B, Sub 3, Sub M. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Zarazua, second by Christensen. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Excuse me. Yeah, aye, sorry.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Thank you, that's approved. No discussion when alcohol is on the line, we don't mess around. Item number 9 is a request from Redevelopment Authority for of the City of Stevens Point to sell 23,381 square feet of property located at 1009 Second Street at the parcel identified, and the unaddressed parcel bound by Second Street, Third Street, and Portage with the parcel identified there. Need a motion. Zarazua, moved, seconded by Keemer. Discussion?
Mayor,
There's somebody who's got a 1. I don't know who that is.
Is that Ryan?
yeah, Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but I have someone who's logged in as the number 1.
Nope, so
never
just
mind.
real quick,
Never mind, that's
this
different.
would be sale of a property that would be on a recorded certified survey map that's included within the agenda packet. So we will combine the lots into, we'll essentially re-subdivide the parcels to make it work for the Great Northern project. So that's just a point of clarification. Other than that, I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 10 is to award project 21-15, test well drilling to Midwest Well Services, Inc., doing business as Midwest Well and Pump from Waupun, Wisconsin, in the amount not to exceed $92,472.65.
So moved.
Motion by Slawinski.
Second.
Seconded by Morrow. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 11 is an ordinance amendment for section 13.23 sub 2 of the revised municipal code as it relates to stormwater utility charges. Director Lemke, do you want to give an overview? Does anybody need an overview or a motion?
I'd take an overview.
Let's take the overview.
You'll notice on the ordinance, this is actually the rate changes that were discussed a couple months ago at the commission. And then later on, the PSC came through with the simplified rate case, so that approval was contingent on that. That happened. We're looking at 3% water, 3% sanitary, 6% storm. On an average quarterly bill for a family of four, you're looking at about $7.
Now a motion? Dalton.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Keemer. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler. Aye. Dalton.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Now, the highlight of our evening. Item number 12 is a resolution, creation of revised wards located within the city. We've got a couple of things to talk about here. Statutory guidelines and dates have been a nightmare. Carrie's office has been working diligently, along with other offices, to try and get this done. This was brought back on a postponement motion from Alder Christensen. And so we have some of it done. We don't have all of it done. And we won't be able to have it done until at least tomorrow night. So we're going to have a special meeting either Wednesday or Thursday. And then we're going to have to do it again in December. And I will turn it over to Clerk Yenter to tell you all of the groovy details.
Since the city cannot come up with a plan with deviation population between the lowest district, populated district to the highest, I did get confirmation from the state. We are allowed to reduce the city's ward sizes below the 600, so we can get that population within a 10% deviation. A new plan was created. We do have a map, and it is at 9.95% deviation from the lowest to the highest. Any wards that boundaries have changed, our city surveyor needs to rewrite all those boundary descriptions. That's a lengthy process. He is diligently working on those. It's not complete, so that's the need for the meeting. We are waiting for that portion of that. And so a new plan is not presented tonight because clearly it's not ready yet. And Portage County has informed us that the city has until November 20th to come up with comply with the new ward boundaries. So we are on a very tight schedule. So a need for a meeting, hopefully Wednesday or Thursday, would be appreciated.
And for those of you that may not understand, when she talks about the legal descriptions, that's the stuff that you see on documents, like your mortgage, that is the northwest corner of the southeast quadrant of the 32nd blah, blah, blah of the Pratt and Lambert map. Those are all the legal descriptions. So it's very tedious and it needs to be accurate. So we do not have an option for you tonight to take action as we thought, but the proposed ward map was mailed out to you this afternoon. And what we need to do today is try and find a time that works for a quorum. Wednesday around noon, or Thursday around noon, or early evening.
Early evening, please, for us at work.
Okay, so we're looking at Thursday, the 18th.
When you say early evening.
5 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
5.
6?
Either one's fine with me.
I have a 5:30.
You have a 5:30?
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
Yes.
You have a 5:30.
I have 3 meetings Thursday evenings, so there's no way.
Okay. So we have to do it before the 20th, so all we need is a quorum.
Okay.
We are not going to have everybody there. I don't expect everybody to drop everything they have. Alder Christensen, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted, I know you guys are aware how much time I spent on this. I just wanted to acknowledge how much work Carrie has put in. I don't know if you guys understand the complexity of all that and how hard they've had to work. And I for one personally, didn't even think with being allowed to go below 600 that we would be able to get to below 10%. So I just wanted to acknowledge all of her hard work and thank her for a job incredibly well done. So thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a
And the
straw
others in
poll.
your office as well.
Yep, yeah, and there was tons of people that had work on it.
Yes.
I know they've been running around like crazy for the last couple of days in that office, so we all appreciate the work. I'm gonna do a straw poll.
Absolutely.
Who can make Wednesday around noon? Let's say between 11 and 1. Actually, I could. 1, 2, 3,
Seems that I
4,
could, yeah.
5. We've got 5 for that.
Oh, I could too.
Pardon? You can? So 6. Okay? Who can make Thursday around the lunch hour? Melissa, was that a Wednesday vote or a Thursday vote?
Either at noon is fine.
Okay, so we could have 7 on Wednesday and show them again for Thursday around lunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
If it were 1 o'clock, I could.
Okay.
Sorry.
But let's call it 1 PM. Is
Okay.
everybody else still good at 1 PM?
We could do 1 o'clock.
Yes.
1 o'clock
So we
Thursday?
got
Okay.
9 there, and then Thursday evening, let's say 5 o'clock.
I could do 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can make it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, it looks like Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just, so again, I want to make sure I have 9 people. Everybody at Thursday at 1 o'clock, please raise your hand again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and Melissa 9. We are good. So our meeting will be Thursday at 1 PM, and that's where we will have the resolution for the creation of the revised wards. If anyone has any questions on those revised wards prior to the meeting, contact Carrie's office. Again, the proposal was emailed to you today. And then in December, because the state statute says that the aldermanic districts need to be created at a regular common council meeting, we can't have a special. So those can wait until December council meeting. Anybody who's interested in running can assume what district they're gonna be in because of the ward being approved already this week. So anyone who's looking to take out papers on December 1st or run for reelection, your information will be available after we approve the wards on Thursday, even though the district won't be officially defined until the December common council meeting.
Gotcha.
If anybody has any questions on that, we've walked it out pretty easy. And Carrie's been on the phone, so we're sure our bases are covered legally on all of this stuff. It just gets a little confusing because of the short time frame. And I want to add that this isn't a time frame that we imposed on ourselves. The census data came in heinously late, but the state statutes and nothing else changed as far as the timeline. So even though we got all of our information very, very late in the game, we were still expected to do all of that work before the statutory deadline. So this isn't on us.
Hey, we approved the plan. Right?
No.
No.
No, we didn't.
It was tentative, and it didn't comply with the county
Right.
supervisor.
Right.
So we reconciled, and that's what we're doing now, because it is
And that's
not
why
in
we brought it up
compliance.
last week,
Right.
because it didn't comply. All right, so we're good there?
Good.
No action is necessary. We will meet at 1 PM on Thursday. Carrie will get the agenda out tomorrow. Item number 13 is an ordinance amendment regarding section 12.28 of the revised municipal code relating to special event permits.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dalton, seconded by Fischler. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen,
Aye.
Shore. Shore.
Sure.
I said aye.
Yeah. Keemer.
Aye.
Try it in here, then.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Nebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Kischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
I was waiting.
That is approved.
I didn't hear my name.
Item number 14. Ironically, we go from 2 packed rooms to empty as we now open the public hearing on the city budget for 2022.
And your taxes.
Do we have anybody in the overflow room? Please come in. We've got lots of open seats now. If anybody's left in the overflow room, I would invite you to the main hall here. But I'm declaring the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to offer testimony on the city budget for 2022, the whole budget, everything we're going to spend money on for an entire year.
Millions of dollars.
Anyone at all? Public hearing remains open. I'm really just trying to hold out for something. Third time, public hearing remains open. Seeing absolutely no one wishing to speak on the city budget for 2022 at the public hearing, I will now declare the public hearing closed. And we'll move on to item number 15, which is a resolution adopting the budget, capital, and operating for the city of Stevens Point for the year 2022. Comptroller Treasurer.
So just a quick update. So the budget is before you. Just a few changes since it was approved at Finance. Really more technical type changes. We incorporated the reorg with the Department of Public Works. So there were some adjustments there since that did pass personnel last week. And then also a few other technical changes related to some pending retirements that we found out about and also some health insurance enrollment changes that we found out about. So we did include the comprehensive list in your packet of every line item that was changed from when the budget was originally presented until now. So, and with that, I'm just available for any other questions or anything that anyone would like to talk about related to the budget.
Thank you. I just need to point out on the chat, Director Konoski would like more money for community development. However, unfortunately, Director, the public hearing was already closed. Alder Shore, then Alder Slawinski.
So I'm going to repeat a comment that I made in the past and I think is important for us to do every so often, which is that this area is one where we have obviously a lot of authority, but it is such a jigsaw puzzle, such a Jenga, whatever you want to describe it, with so many difficult choices and compromises that we really do rely on the staff and citywide electeds to figure this all out, and I am thankful, and I'm sure many of my colleagues are as well.
Thank you, and I can attest to that because even though we thought we had all the bugs and kinks and everything worked out and presented a balanced budget, the state turned around and says, nah, we're going to take another $97,000 away from you, and we're not going to give you any notice either.
And it's still $10.46
So actually, that piece has changed because we did get the information from the school district now and the tech college and the county. So, and the actual rate now that we'd be looking at is $10.86. So, and believe it or not, that will work out to, as far as the total tax rate, that'll actually be a very reasonable adjustment in terms of the total taxes that people have to pay. We should be well short of the 2.5% limit that was set for the total tax rate.
Thank you. Alder Slawinski.
I just got to say, over the last, 15 budgets that I've sat through, this one here has been the most challenging as far as changes that have, unforeseen changes. And I do appreciate Corey and the staff and all the departments, for just having the flexibility and making it work. This is my last budget, so I will move approval of the adopting the resolution adopting the budget for the city of Stevens Point for the year 2022.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I also do a second for Jeremy's last budget that he's going to do.
Seconded by Alder Morrow. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Keimer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. As you, alderpersons who have been here a while know, all of the next ones are all related to the budget. They're just various things, hoops that we have to jump through. Item number 16 is a resolution appropriating the necessary funds for the city of Stevens Point for 2022. and levying the tax rate for the year 2021. Shore moves. Seconded by Dalton. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Kimmer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Corey will be getting your Christmas cards in the mail. We should have them in a couple weeks. Item number 17 is a resolution providing for writing special assessments and special charges into the tax roll for 2021. Motion by Slawinski, seconded by Morrow. Discussion?
This is in, I believe this is in regard to those who have a special assessment because they haven't paid their back
Yes.
personal property tax.
So if you have a special assessment or any sort of special charges that are outstanding, they get rolled onto your tax bill. That's what you're voting for. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Leek. Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Kimmer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that's approved. Item number 18 is a resolution authorizing and providing for the sale and issuance of $9,205,000 in taxable general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2021A, and all related details.
Move approval.
Motion by Shore, seconded by Dalton. Discussion?
And I know that Greg Johnson from Ellers is also on.
Oh,
to-
yeah, we're good, Greg. Greg, do you want to say anything, or does anybody have questions?
Off to Mark.
I'm happy to answer questions or provide a brief summary, whatever the preference is.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Same stuff we do every year, so.
It's going to
Okay,
market.
I think we're good, but thank you. Roll call, please.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Kimmer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that's approved. Item number 19 is a resolution authorizing and providing for the sale and issuance of $3,305,000 in storm water system revenue bond series 2021 and all related details.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Dalton, seconded by, we'll give it to Zarazua for a change of pace. Discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, let's get a roll call, please.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Leek.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Slawinski.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Kimmer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved, and our agenda is exhausted, and we are adjourned at 9:12. Thank you all very much. Have a good Thanksgiving.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.